Let's get into it, dude. Qubic is designed to be super duper hyper deflationary. You look at this max supply, like it used to be 1 quadrillion, but there was a vote by the community to reduce it by 80%. Like the founder didn't like think it needed to be reduced, but it's all good. This is just for optics, but the max supply is 200 trillion, and before the initial burning mechanisms, you would be minting around 1 trillion cubic per epoch, right? Per 7 days. So every week, 1 trillion cubic would be minted. So after the vote, we changed the max supply to 200 trillion, and then you reduce the emissions by 15%. So then you had 850 billion, I'm sorry, being produced every week. And then after, I think, epoch 175 or 170 something, there was a halving similar to Bitcoin where emissions were halved. So now you had, what is it? It went from 850 to 425 billion, right? And so now, there, on top of that severe slash in emissions, a lot of people overlook the CCF and the Q earn cut as well. So let's get into that. Let's get into the scarcity of Qubic. And then at the end, maybe we'll touch on the scarcity of Qubic versus Bitcoin. All right, so let's get into this. Now, this is according to the data that I know of as of now. All right. This is post that was made many moons ago, but I decided to bookmark and touch on it again because I'm sure there's new people looking up on Qubic. So let's get refreshed with what's going on. So after there was the halving, which reduced the emissions to from 850 billion cubic per week to 425 billion per week. So now, on top of that, 8% of emissions as of September 26, 2024. So correct me if I'm wrong in the future, Don't lambast me. All right, in the comments. The proposal to reallocate 8% of Qubic's weekly emissions to the Computer Controlled Fund, the CCF, which is pretty much like the Treasury, is a strategic reallocation of resources. This reallocation will ensure a sustainable future for the ecosystem by not only encouraging growth, but also serving as a financial war chest, providing the network with resources to weather tough conditions like bear markets. Here is why the decisions will benefit all stakeholders. All right, you can go to the blog and research it yourself. So on top of the 425, so take 8% on top of that, and then you have Q earn, which is the staking protocol. So all the staking that happens on Qubic, the rewards come from emissions, right? It's not just minted out of thin air. It actually comes from the mining on the network, right? This was voted on by the computers, aka the validators. So a portion of the network emissions goes to the staking network, goes to the stakers. Like this was a big, huge moment. Like this was huge. You were so early, like you didn't realize how huge it was. So here's how Q earn works. Each week, a percentage of weekly emissions, for example, 10% or 100 billion cubic, will be allocated to staking rewards. These rewards will be distributed among participants who lock their cubic for staking. The distribution is proportional, ensuring that stakers receive a fair share based on their contribution during the epoch in which their cubic is locked. To earn the full reward, participants must lock their cubic for a 52-week period. This commitment is designed to encourage long-term engagement and stability within the ecosystem. Perfect timing, because, dude, it just so happens today I looked in my wallet that I haven't looked at in forever just to check on my operational security. And I was like, what the hell? Where did all this cubic come from? And I was like, oh snap, my staking period's ended. Like a whole year went by. I was like, restake. So I'm gonna restake all that stuff ASAP. Compounding interest is the ninth wonder of the world, says Albert Einstein. So yeah, so not only do you have the halving, so now you have 425 billion emissions, and then you subtract 8% of that for CCF, and then 10% of that to Q-earn. And then you have the buybacks and burns. And then you have smart contracts, which burns hundreds of billions of cubic per smart contract. Literally hundreds of billions of cubic per smart contract get burned every time an ICO gets deployed onto the network. Sometimes trillions get burned at a time per smart contract. This is the part of Qubic that a lot of people are not really getting when they talk about the supply. They don't understand how deflationary it is. It's like, hello, get with the program, people. Hello. Ryu says, I'm not worried about the supply at all. Qubic makes up less coins than Satoshis of BTC. Yeah, there's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. So there's 18 decimals per... Or no, there's... Blah, blah, blah. There's 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis in the whole supply. There's only max supply, and we're never going to reach the max supply. In fact, I don't even think we're going to be past 150 trillion. Qubic is so much less, is so much more scarce than Bitcoin. It's like not even... People are so brainwashed into thinking there's only 21 million pieces of Bitcoin. There can only be 21 people with a million Bitcoin. Like, come on, man.